Welcome to the New York Weightlifting Podcast. I'm James McDermott, joined by Sarah Soto and our special guest, Julia Falamas. Julia is a national level referee for USA Weightlifting. She teaches level 1 and level 2 trainer courses. She also works for the USAW coaching education department, and she is the head coach of her weightlifting club, Tribe Strength Labs. So, Julia, welcome to the show. We're happy to talk to you.
James. This feels very official. You've got a great presenter voice, James.
Oh, thank you. So, I've got a voice for radio, but a face for podcasts. So, I don't know if it works that way, but so yeah, we're excited to learn all about Julia and also to learn and take a deep dive into the coaching education side of USA Weightlifting. But
wait,
first,
I just want to say it's no longer the coaching education department, right, Julia? It's coaching development because it encompasses more.
That's right. So it's technically called coach development. It obviously includes a lot of educational products and services. But yes, the official title is coach development.
Ooh, okay. Look at that. We're already learning our first thing. I think development's a greater word and maybe a less scary word than education. I think sometimes people see education and they're like, I went to school, I'm done with college and stuff like that. But development, I kind of want growth.
Yeah. I think it helps coaches understand that it's a process rather than like a stamp of approval. Like you have the certification, that's it. It's really about joining the ecosystem.
Very cool. Well, we're gonna get deep into that, and but first, let's learn more about Julia. We have to know who we're talking to here. So, Sarah, do you want to trade off back and forth on some of these rapid fire questions?
Sure.
You go, I go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Julia.
Yeah.
Go to training soundtrack.
So it changes based on the season. I love me some dance hall stuff. That tends to be like winter into early spring. So that's where we're at seasonally right now.
Seasonal.
Ooh. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're the first person to say that. It changes based on the time of year.
I need things to get me through the winter, So like I need things that are a little bit more upbeat in the winter.
So all right. Well, let's talk more about this. So winter was what?
Like dance hall.
Dance hall. Okay. Do you already have your spring soundtrack kind of lined up? We're almost there.
We are almost there. It maintains some of the same stuff and becomes a little bit more like EDM house, that kind of thing. And then once we get into summer, I'm like classic Green Day, that kind of thing. Like that's how the trajectory moves.
Very cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, the soundtrack, throughout the year, it's fun. Like you just collect songs. Do you collect new artists and new music, and then by the time you're done, you just put it into one hodgepodge playlist?
Yeah, so there's definitely like every few months I'll just start to make a new playlist because otherwise I listen to the same stuff over and over again. So I really try to diversify and learn some of the new things that the kids are listening to.
That's why I don't post the Spotify Wrapped for myself, because it's like you see one why did he listen to this one song 2,000 times? And it's like because it's on every playlist. It starts off every music session, and sometimes you just click repeat over and over. So it's I
do that too. Don't worry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely I am like you, James, in that sense that I will make one for the year and I will just keep adding to it. But as a result, like you're saying, Julia, it's I think because I use Apple Music, they do a thing like Wrapped, and it was embarrassing because literally the same band was for all 12 months, and I was like, okay.
Well, at least you're consistent, right?
Yeah,
you are who you are all the time.
Very cool. Next question. Julia, snatch or clean and jerk in terms of favorite? You can take this one any day. The other one, you're like, let's be done with it.
I'm not going to pick clean. I'm not going to pick snatch. I'm going to pick jerk, exclusively just separate it from the rest, and it's just jerk.
Wow. Okay. That's most people would probably pick, I think, the snatch, right? The snatch is kind of the GOAT. Everyone loves to do that. Well, unless it's your first attempt at a meet, then then you don't love it too much. You only love it after you make that lift. Then the world is all okay. But the jerk. So what do you like about the jerk specifically the most?
Oh, I mean, one, I'm just better at it than I am the clean.
She was a participant in Kurt Roderick's jerk study.
Ooh,
So
all right.
I saw many of her jerks, and they are
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah, I
Very
just
cool.
like, I'm not particularly strong pulling off the ground. So when it's already on my shoulders, I don't have to be that strong. I can just be like a little fast and snappy, and it's all good to go.
So you're one of those people that has that magic power of like everybody in the meet's watching like the clean, and it took 5 minutes, and they're like, "There's
It's
no way
horrendous.
it's
Yeah.
going overhead," and then boop, just the most easiest, prettiest jerk ever.
Yeah, I think at my peak, my jerk was still a solid like 7, maybe 8 kilos heavier than my clean. So yeah.
This just made me think of like, as an athlete on the platform, all the different ways you can get oohs and ahs from the audience, and that's definitely one of them. And then there's other not desirable ones. I'm sure we could make a list of all the ways you can.
Well,
get
it
a
normally
reaction.
starts off with like an ooh on the clean,
Yeah.
like that kind of ooh, and then it's like a ooh when it gets to the jerk.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's funny. It's like most lifters, I think, don't even like notice those sounds because you're just in your head.
I
But
say
it would
them
be
to
fun.
myself. Those are my sounds.
Yeah. Like, oh boy, and then we got it. No problem.
Yeah, thank God.
All
Sarah,
right.
you're up.
Next question. Favorite post-training meal?
Yeah, I love a good chicken shawarma with some pita, a little tzatziki, going very like Mediterranean, a little Greek, a little that kind of thing. That's where I'm at.
All right.
Very Queens.
Very Queens.
I've
Queens
never
is
had a
nice.
shawarma before. Is it like a gyro or gyro?
Yep.
Oh, so it's that. It's
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Seasoned meat.
All right. I've had those before, but I bet it's different down in. See, that's always like the. Sometimes you think, it's different in New York City. Like everything tastes differently somehow. Like the pizza's going to be better. The pizza's different. The bagels, all that stuff. So I can only assume there's a New York City height to it.
Yeah. We're also where my husband and I live in Queens. We're really close to Astoria.
Yep.
So the quality of Greek food in Astoria is like top tier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, if I'm ever in Queens, I'll have to try some shawarma. I remember the nerd in me remembers that at the end of Marvel Avengers, the first movie, the team went and got shawarmas, and then I was always like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make a mental note to try that one day." And then apparently I have, and I didn't even know it.
I've reminded you.
You have.
Yeah.
Julia, coffee, tea, or pre-workout before training?
Coffee. Only ever coffee. Like sometimes tea, not in relation to training, but in life. Never pre-workout, always coffee.
Okay. Yep. No pre-workout. No, yep. I don't do any pre-workout. I've retired from coffee. I'm a tea person now.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a big
Fancy.
statement.
Yeah.
Yep, I drink it like this. Like I got my little tea cup. You got to have, the pinky up, and then you go.
That's like we always joke about how like a lot of us like on the board of directors will joke about how like we don't trust people who don't drink coffee, and Matt Sicchio, our CEO, is one of those people. So sorry, Matt.
Not to be trusted. I will say pinkies up is a dangerous game depending on the cup. Like you can see how it works with the little dainty teacup.
Yeah.
But like when you're like playing around at home and you have like your bigger mug and you start to take fingers off and you're like, oh crap, I just almost dumped all my tea all over my lap because I was trying to be funny just to myself.
Enjoying your own experience.
Yep. That's always what an experience when you spill something. And you're alone, especially, and you're just like, there's no one to blame here.
Oh yeah. But also, like, who cares?
Yeah.
I just turned to my dog, and I'm like, why?
Right? That's funny.
He's like,
next question: back squat or front squat?
I go back and forth between these. I think back squat is like good bread and butter, but I don't mind a nice heavy front squat. They can be fun.
put them together. A little
Put
complex.
them together. Yeah. I think like either squat over any type of pull variation. So squats are
I
great.
am with you on that.
No deadlifts for Julia. All squats.
I mean, some really terrible deadlifts for Julia. Some very unimpressive deadlifts for Julia.
I mean, we're talking weightlifting right now, but have you dabbled in any powerlifting?
Formally, no. I have been to like a couple of powerlifting meets. I had a couple of athletes who did a powerlifting meet as an off season. They just need a mental break from weightlifting. So I've coached in a powerlifting meet, aka I like turn to the coach next to me and ask what the hell is going on.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
But I've never participated myself. Have I done a bench press like twice a year? Yes.
Okay. Everybody loves a good bench press from time to time.
Twice a year.
Twice a year. A last rapid fire question: training or competition? Where are you wanting to lift the most?
Definitely competition. I love the experience. I feel like it's probably the quietest my brain ever gets is on the platform, which I know is not the same experience for everybody. Some people deal a lot with performance anxiety. That is not me. I am in a zone that I very rarely get to experience anywhere else in life.
That's pretty cool. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, most people should be, but that's probably a place where no emails exist, no phone, no social media.
Yes.
It's just like a dark zone. But in training, those things can unfortunately still kind of pop up.
Yeah. And when you're on the platform, you are not responsible for anybody else except yourself. And that is such a beautiful gift that I hope people really appreciate.
You don't even have to reload the bar. Just
exactly. Exactly.
Very cool. When you are at a meet, do you coach yourself and run your own numbers, or do you have your athletes hop in or another coach?
I usually just ask a coaching colleague for help. Kurt has helped me before. I think in Fort Worth, I asked Kurt if he would count for me. My friend Tony from Heartlet Strength had counted for me before. So generally, I will ask somebody for help. I don't want to have to be responsible for that side of my experience.
Cool. Just put the headphones in, towel over the head, focus.
Exactly.
Very cool. All right. Well, that wraps up our rapid fire. Now, where are we going next, Sarah?
So we are going to learn more about Julia. So Julia, what coach influenced you the most and why?
So I've had a lot of coaches that have influenced me in different ways as either developing my own coaching philosophy or my philosophy as an instructor and an educator. But I'm going to highlight two because I think they're very, very different. I've gotten different things from them. One of my earlier weightlifting coaches, his name was Akin. Akin is no longer in the States with us. He was one of the Nigerian national team coaches. Okay, you remember Akin?
Totally.
When I was at Spot, and this is at a stage in my athletic career when I was competing nationally, it's a 55, this was a few years ago, and Akin really developed me a lot. At the time, I was fairly new to weightlifting, and he had such a different approach than any other coach that I interacted with. And in large part, it had to do with the fact that there was a language barrier, and it forced me. He spoke English, but still didn't always have the vocabulary to explain a lot of things. So it forced me to have to find other ways of communicating with him, to develop my own kinesthetic awareness, because I had to take and interpret what he was trying to get me to do and figure it out on my own. And I think he just had such a relaxed personality that even when I was struggling, in the depths of hard training, he was always so relaxed. He was just so positive and relaxed, and I praised him. And even though I was Coach, this is terrible, he had such a calm demeanor about him that I think it put me in as somebody who's very type A and needs things to happen a particular way. He kept me very calm. And I think that was the first time as an athlete that I learned how that was. So I would say Akin.
That's pretty cool. I'm sure that shaped how you coach too, because you were an athlete then, and then you start to become a coach, and now you have a different understanding of communication and making things simple and making sure someone understands what you're saying, and also how your demeanor affects your athletes. Like if you're high strung and stressed, and the world is ending, they might take on those characteristics too in the moment.
You're 100% right. And what I was going to say is, as I've started getting into coaching, education, coach development, and like really talking to newer coaches, I've found that so many of them are so eager to prove themselves that they overcompensate with information, with energy, with like all this stuff. And I just have to keep reminding myself that actually the most effective way is to get people to be calm enough that they can actually absorb what it is you're trying to deliver. So that's been really important. And I'll follow up with, I think, second most influential coach that I work with now as an educator, as an instructor, Coach Michael Conroy, who actually used to be the person in charge of coach development at USA Weightlifting many years ago. So it's been really fun. Coach Conroy and I often co-teach our online level 1 courses, which has been really great because the two of us are very, very different. He's a Tyree in Idaho, and he is just so good at storytelling. If you ever get a chance to meet Coach Conroy, he's a fantastic storyteller. And that's not something that I inherently go to as I'm delivering content, right? I'm like, okay, here's the thing, here's the application, here's how we keep it straight to the point. That's just kind of like my cadence as a person. And he just like really sits in these stories a lot. So I've learned, I think, through working with him and collaborating with him, that there's value in communicating in that way.
Have you adopted any of those stories? Like if you're teaching an in-person course or just at your gym and be like, hey, and just so you know, this,
I think it's encouraged me to be able to identify some of the stories in my own coaching experience and use those as examples rather than like always trying to find other people's stories.
Yeah, and that's great.
Some confidence in that. Yeah.
Because like if you're a coach, let's say you're a coach and you bomb out 3 meets in a row or something like that, it's or when you were an athlete. Well, now as a coach, that experience, it stunk when you were an athlete, but now it's valuable as a coach because you can pass on that wisdom. Like, okay, hey, I've been there. I went way too heavy. I didn't peak right, or I was out partying the night before, and learn from my mistakes, kind of a thing. And so, yeah, it's great for especially maybe even young coaches now coming in to realize they may have more value to offer than they think. Like, all right, well, I don't have any experiences. I was just lifting before. Well, your lifting experiences are things you can kind of pass on because no doubt you made mistakes.
Of course. Yeah, it's been really interesting spending more time with coaches who have been around the sport for, so many decades, and like staying open-minded enough to how is the sport evolved, how has the organization evolved, but also what's at the root of it, which is people working together to accomplish a common goal. That's what we're all trying to get to.
Definitely. What drew you into weightlifting? Did you have another sport before that, or?
So I started weightlifting as an adult. I didn't start until I was 25, maybe 26. And at the time, I was like very restlessly looking for something to do that made me feel like an athlete. When I was in high school, I ran a little bit of track and field. I was a gymnast earlier on, and then like did a lot of different fitness things because I just couldn't quite find the right outlet. And somebody had recommended weightlifting to me, and this was right around the 2016 Olympics, I think. And I just remember watching like Morgan King lift. Like, look at this small human who moves so fast and is so strong. And I just like started to learn so much more about the sport and was like not terrible at it. So, it hooked me pretty quickly.
Very cool. Is it weird that when I hear 2016, it feels like 4 years ago, but really it's so weird. Like, I don't know time anymore.
No.
that era just seems so close, yet it's really not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive deeper into some more on coaching here. For you yourself, what's what's something that you believed about coaching earlier on in your career that you've changed your mind about? And also why? Why'd you change your mind if there was something?
So I think probably like most new strength coaches, weightlifting coaches, I didn't know how to apply. So let me backtrack. Prior to getting into weightlifting, I had worked as a coach of gymnastics. I coached gymnastics when I was 16, right? I started very young because that was my middle school, early high school sport. I retired from gymnastics and started coaching. So I had a background in coaching young athletes and in coaching movement. And I think when I first started coaching weightlifting, I didn't apply enough of that framework of basic motor learning and positional awareness and like really building skill and movement from the ground up to my coaching weightlifters. Right. I in my mind, I hadn't yet made the connection that this is a high skill movement. So I need to break it down in the same way that you would any other high skill athletic activity. Right? So I think my early expression of my coaching had a lot more to do with just like general fitness, work capacity, building strength. It didn't quite spend enough time understanding technical nuance, timing, rhythm, that kind of stuff. And over time, I've really applied that framework of how I thought about coaching something like, a gymnastics movement to how I think about developing positional awareness, control, timing in movements. And I have seen in general coaches understand that a lot more in the 10 years that I've been involved in the sport, is that there is a greater understanding of motor learning.
Definitely. And teaching the body how to be in those positions and own those positions and move through it, and it's kind of like if you're teaching a front handstand or a front handspring, it's like, well, that's pretty complicated, and so is diving underneath a barbell. So like get that practice and repetition. And I know that's one thing that gymnastics is great about on getting the reps, reinforcing the positions, spending time in static positions versus only doing the dynamic portion of it. It's great stuff. And I think that if you, not everybody can, but it definitely gives, I think, an advantage in the long term on starting in gymnastics. Like there's just every time I take a new gymnastics course or find a new page or read a new article, there's a million exercises. Like they might have the most accessory exercises and special exercises than any other type of system I've seen. Weightlifting tries, but like gymnastics just has a million things just for your core alone. And then we haven't even moved on to other greater skills.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is like there just is such a greater emphasis on proprioceptive development that, if you're a gymnast, you have to be so hyper aware of where your body is in space relative to anything else at all times. So in training, we use a lot of scaffolding to help young athletes develop a lot of that positional awareness, right? There's like the barrels they roll over. Your hands-on spotting all the time with younger ones because they need not only to develop a level of confidence, but also a level of awareness of where everything is and what they should be focusing on in a really fast dynamic movement. So there's literally so much more, like, yes, there's a lot of core emphasis and a lot of like physical development, but the neurological development and the awareness of where they are is like up here when it comes to gymnastics. So if you can even figure out how to translate a fraction of that demand to something like weightlifting, the success rate just goes up.
That makes sense.
That's the secret sauce right there. Like, so whoever gets to this point, it's like I think all weightlifting coaches should do deep dives regularly on gymnastics. Take a gymnastics seminar and you'll be blown away just the presentation of it and the material covered. Your mind will be blown for sure.
Yeah. So now to start segueing in away from like general stuff for you, Julia, and into more of like the stuff you live and breathe every day with USA Weightlifting, how has the philosophy of coaching education changed in recent years?
So I think the biggest thing that is worth mentioning is the demographics and the goals of the people taking largely the level 1, but I'll say even maybe the level 2 courses has changed a lot over the last 10 years, right? It used to be that we were purely in the business of certified weightlifting coaches, right? That means like people who wanted to develop weightlifters, maybe they were CrossFit coaches. Now you're starting to see a lot more strength conditioning coaches at the high school, at the college level really embrace the Olympic lifts. So that's added a whole new population into the coach development pool that maybe we didn't have to the same extent 5-10 years ago, right? Which also means that the curriculum has had to evolve a little bit to address some of their common concerns and some of their troubleshooting errors, right? Where what they're going to use the lifts for or how they're going to use them is a little bit different than how a CrossFit coach might use them or how an actual weightlifting coach will use them. We're also seeing more personal trainers and like general fitness professionals learn about the lift. So again, I don't think that the philosophy has changed, right? It's still a very like positions first. We want to teach good biomechanics, but because of the changing population, the way the information gets delivered, or rather some of the things that we touch on as tangents to the core have changed a little bit.
Totally. I mean, you and I were talking about this at the women's meetup a couple weeks ago, and it's just, I mean, even from my perspective with like when I first started when I took my level 1 and my level 2, everybody in the class with me was also a weightlifter or a CrossFitter who was trying to like become a coach and maybe kind of work into the weightlifting space more. And then as I started assisting McKenna at things much more recently, everybody is, like you said, a strength and conditioning coach, like maybe works for like a local college, or there's a lot of PTs. There's a lot of PTs.
That was the other thing that I was going to say is you're seeing a lot more physical therapists. Let me rephrase. We have PTs like personal trainers. Yes, those. We also have PTs like physical therapists who are either working with patients, they're working with CrossFitters, they're working with weightlifters, and they need to know how to service those individuals a little bit better in the clinic. And that comes hand in hand with understanding the demands of the sport.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. What a great thing for a physical therapist to do. You know, you have someone who comes in and they're like, yeah, my shoulder, but they don't understand the snatch or the jerk, you know, or even the clean.
Yes.
That I feel like you'd give you a big leg up business wise, but also just in actually helping people, just understanding it. And then maybe even they start to do it themselves too. And like they just get it and help people better. Yeah. It's awesome.
Well, I think part of it, so obviously the level 1 course has both a hands-on and kind of classroom component. So we even have a fair number of people that come in as their first dose of learning the Olympic lifts via the level 1 course, which to me is always really interesting. Like they come in with no prior knowledge. So they're actually learning how to do the movements and learning about progression philosophy and programming and application to sports performance, all that stuff, all in the same, 13-14 hour course.
I know when I took my level 1, we had our fair share of like college and high school, strength coaches that were there. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple other people that were like weightlifters, but like we were like maybe like the minority group on like, yeah, we do snatch and clean and jerk every day. And my level 2 was smaller. And I remember I'm blown away by the testing now. Like there's like the online modules they're hard and it's way more expansive. Sarah, you probably remember the same. It was a written paper exam that I think got graded that day before you left.
Me too. When I took mine. Yeah.
And my level 2 was a little blue booklet like you get in college. And you had to write essays. We had to write like 5 essays.
Yep. Yeah, it's changed a lot.
I want to get mine back.
I don't.
Yeah, because so much of both the level 1 and level 2 course, we've really built out the online module component of it. Is those are easier for us to go in and edit on a regular basis, so that if there is something that we're like, maybe we need to expand on this chapter a little bit, we can actually regularly add in edits or updates or like add new questions to the question pool, things like that, without necessarily disrupting the day-to-day flow of our instructors who run the course, right? Like we can continuously refine it and make the product better and better. And
the paper, you have to have a printer,
and we say
get the ink, all that stuff. Wow. So we have these courses. Does USAW have like an overlying goal or mission for the coaches, or for the online or not online, for the coaching courses overall? Like, is it every high school and college has level 1 and level 2 trainers, or we're going to get more weightlifting specific coaches, or just expose the country to weightlifting in general? Like, what is the mission for them?
Yeah, I would say the exposure component is always there, right? From an organizational standpoint, we always want to get barbells in more people's hands. We definitely have some grassroots initiatives to try to get them in the hands of younger people. I'll come back to this in a second, but we have a product called a Weightlifting for Sports Performance Workshop. So table that for a second. But I would say when it comes to the level 1 course specifically, it's about making the lifts a tool that can be used readily regardless of population, meaning we're trying to really demystify these lifts, right? So the teaching progressions are created in such a way that you can get from point A to B to C in few steps that are easily intelligible, that can lend themselves to performance, in a relatively quick learning curve. Because what we don't want is people to feel like the barrier to entry is so high in learning the things that they never get started in the first place. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish through the level 1 courses, to help coaches understand how these can be applied quickly with relatively little, obviously you need to understand the physics and the biomechanics of it. You need to understand safe progressions. But we try to really do a lot for the coaches, meaning if you use these steps, and we have, template programs that they can refer back to and really clear analysis of how to progress lifts, then the idea is that more people will do them safely. The kind of bias against the lifts will start to come down. People just in general have a better understanding of why to use these tools, how to use them. Obviously, they can participate as a sport. Love that. But they could also, be in an all-women strength class, and they might snatch and clean and jerk. And for me, the trickle-down effect in that is that, okay, yeah, we might get these masters ladies doing a clean and jerk. They're not going to contribute anything in terms of medal count to our goals as a sport organization, but their daughters might, their granddaughters might, that's the kind of trickle down effect that I think about.
It's fantastic. And it's we all know the lifts can be intimidating and people think they can't do it, but with an experienced coach, you can do it safely, because it doesn't have to be a barbell or with any weight on it. It could be a stick, and learn to move that stick efficiently and fluidly and safely. And I wonder too, if eventually over time, as the education starts to spread, you might even see less and less of the clean. I think maybe in the public mind is viewed more towards football. And you have that classic scenario of the college weight room with 50 people gathered around one person, and they have an obscene amount of weight because they are a really strong athlete. And it's just pull and dive under that thing and whatever. Ugh. You see the videos all the time, or there are even some sports that they don't want their athletes snatching because they don't want to risk shoulder injury. But again, if it's known how to use it and the biomechanics and applying it safely into programming, it could actually be a benefit to overhead athletes, for example.
Exactly. And those are part of the conversations that we have. There's a whole module on weightlifting for sports performance that's built into level 1. And that is part of the conversation. It's not only why are they safe, why are they a performance enhancer, how do they help prevent against overuse injuries, but also how do we use them in a practical framework for full season, right? Is there a time when maybe this tool is a better application than this tool? Rather than saying we omit all movements altogether, it's how do we dose them appropriately for any given sport and any given athlete?
Yeah, and I think it's getting better too, the deeper we go.
Yes. And also, so then to piggyback on that, so that was a very good breakdown of what's in the level 1. What would you say then is the core, reason for taking a level 2?
Yeah. So this is where, if you want to be a weightlifting coach, I would say that's the track, right? Level 1 is really all about introducing the lifts, teaching you application across all types of different populations. The level 2 is about how do you develop a weightlifter for a long-term career? How do we not just analyze programming and apply programming, but also build programming. And then lastly is understanding how to manage an athlete in competition. And that includes everything from like, their psychological state and also planning attempts, counting the board, all those types of things. So if your idea is that you want to be involved in the world of weightlifting, you want athletes that are going to competitions, that you can service them the best way possible, then that's where the level 2 grants you.
What do you hope? So you have 2 different tracks, kind of. Whoever the person that wants to become the weightlifting coach is definitely going to go beyond and do the level 2. But any strength coach, it'd be worth their while to do both of them and have the complete set, so to say, to get that extra information, especially because there's more programming in the level 2. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So, competition prep aside, maybe you are a strength coach and you have no desire of having your athletes get involved in the competitive side of the sport. There's still a ton of value in the programming component. And we also dive a lot more deeply into error correction and biomechanics, right? Like the level 1 gives you a framework. It gives you a 5-step progression. Here's how we do this. The level 2 is going to go another step further into, if you see this, what are our options? How do we fix this? And it really allows you to think less prescriptively and more creatively about your solutions.
And both courses have a big practical element. So like, it's not just all lecture. You're going to actually do some coaching and be coached. Is that more so the level 2, or is it the level 1 as well?
It's the level 1 as well, right? As you're learning through these teaching progressions, you have an opportunity to say, okay, now teach it to somebody. And that, I think, is the hardest part, is especially if you're just kind of figuring it out in your own body, is understanding how to communicate it to somebody else. And that's why there's a whole component of effective coaching. And that's exactly what we were talking about before with the key, right? Like, how do you say things in a way that land and lead to movement change in the person that you're coaching? So it's not just about like what it's about how do we communicate that in a way that actually gets you the results.
Yeah, like I want you to jump, or I want you to stand quickly, instead of, well, we need the hip extension and the ankle dorsal. And it's like, all right, they don't know. You're speaking Spanish to your athlete. Like, you have to.
Yeah. It's true. And so we run both of the level 1 and the level 2 as an online option. If you just don't have a course near you, and as an in-person course. And that is one of the things that we spend time on. Whether you're online, whether you're in person, it doesn't matter. Let's get you to understand how to communicate effectively and how people learn, right? Not just motor learning, but cognitive learning. How do people process information, and how can you change your delivery to help enhance that?
Yeah, it's like if you can teach it to like a kid, or even harder, a bunch of kids, then teaching it to like one adult or like a small group of adults is going to be much easier. Like, what would you say to a bunch of 7 and 8-year-olds? Well, you can't say all these things, these technical terms. You got to be like, all right, point your elbows up like they're laser beams. And you wouldn't really use that for your adults, although you can. It's more fun that way. But you got to just tell them like, hey, push your elbow up to the ceiling, or like simplify things.
Simple, externally focused cues, rather than like trying to overcomplicate and convolute things by being like, okay, squeeze your glutes. No, it's too much. Let's make it simple. Let's focus on movement. How do we get movement to happen, not how do we get muscle contractions to happen?
And take it one step at a time. Like the phrasing, or the sequence that we use a lot in CrossFit, and I'm sure it's the same in a lot of weightlifting circles, is tell, show, do, check. So tell them what we are going to do and what you want them to do, show them how to do it, have them do it, and then check that they did it correctly. And if they didn't, give them corrections.
That's right. That's how it works. That's how we get people, because they need to explore and experience it themselves, and they will learn to self-correct through that process. And then you just guide them along the way.
Will there ever be a weightlifting course for kids, like for coaches that want to have youth teams and teach kids specifically, where everything is geared for that? Or is it just kind of right now a module in one of the 2 courses?
So I'm not going to say it's a module, but actually, if for those of you that are familiar with the Learning Academy, which is where almost all of our educational materials are present, we have a number of fundamental courses that are available to any USA Weightlifting member. You don't have to have a coaching certification to gain access to these foundation courses. And a couple of them are specifically on coaching kids. And it's more theoretical frameworks of like, how do we communicate with kids? What types of things should we be aware of? But yes, that information exists. And as long as you have a membership, you have access to these.
Check out the Learning Academy for sure. And if there are any CrossFit level 3 or level 4s listening, you can take the modules or the courses from the Learning Academy for USA Weightlifting, complete it, then get your certificate and proof, and then go into CrossFit's website and submit to get CEUs for that. So it's like you can use these USAW courses that are free with your membership, and on the back end get CEUs for your level 3 and level 4.
James, pitching it. I love it.
Yeah.
Selling it. Got to sell it.
Thank you, James.
For the level 1 and level 2, when people are done, are there specific things that you hope that they took away from the course? Like if there's like one nugget or one thing that happens, and is it different from 1 or 2?
I would say the biggest thing that I want people to walk away with from the level 1 is they feel confident that they have a system for teaching complex movement, right? Specifically the snatch, clean, and jerk. And that's our main takeaway with delivery is there's like a little bit of introduction to programming, but we get so many coaches that don't have a whole lot of depth of knowledge when it comes to programming. So we're just kind of sprinkling it in there. But the real core of it is we want them to walk away feeling like they can teach somebody how to snatch and jerk, that they have a system. They don't need to know every little nook and cranny of it, but if they see X, they can apply Y and get the result. In the level 2, it's really a lot more about analysis of programming, right? So I would say I want people to feel like they have a starting point of understanding how to write good, effective programming that goes beyond just teaching movement. Right, like progress from an overhead squat to this, to this, to this. The level 2 is really about like a comprehensive design.
Putting it all together.
Putting it all together.
Yeah, and I think it's a good place for a lot of people to start on figuring out what is my go-to progression, or here's the USAW progression, but I took this out and it works better for me and my athletes, or I added this in. You can start to make it your own.
Yeah, that's the idea, is that like if once you start to get a little bit more comfortable and you've coached a number of people through these movements, you might be like, I'd like to add this. This has worked really well when I spend a little bit more time at the knee, or when I like focus a little bit longer on a snatch grip power jerk instead of going straight into a snatch balance, right? They need a little bit more time. Great. You start to develop your own philosophy, but what we give you is a skeleton.
Yeah. And then you get good enough at your own philosophy. You're at the airport. Someone comes running over. Excuse me, miss. We have a group of people that need to learn how to snatch right now. Can you help us? I saw the USAW emblem on here. We have PVC pipes and stuff over there. Hurry. And you go running over. And,
what a problem to solve.
And you can jump. I bet you could jump right into it, right?
Yep. Might be a little confused as to why we're learning to snatch in the airport, but yes, we got it.
Hey, whatever we got to do. Keep these flights on track.
I don't know if everybody saw, but Kara is an instructor within the instructor pool, right? Like, so Kara Headslaughter and Yasha Faye, also a legendary coach, ex-board member,
instructor,
all the things. They got stranded in Ohio, in Columbus, because their flight got delayed after the event, as many people did, and they went out to go to like a little restaurant down the street afterwards to just like hang out together, and they ended up teaching. MMA guy Bones. I can never remember his full name, but he's like a legendary MMA guy, and they met him in the bar, and they started talking to him, and they have it in there. One of them, I think it's in Yasha's reels, but it's like they are teaching him how to snatch, like in the little like bar area of the restaurant.
That's awesome.
So you never know where
you're
going to utilize those skills.
Weightlifting in the wild, wherever you need it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm gonna design a T-shirt that says like, "Let me teach you how to snatch and see how many fingers I get."
There you go. I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
We got to get Will on that to make that, but yeah. Okay, so next question. So what coaching skills are the hardest to teach in the certification setting?
I think anything around emotional intelligence. It's just one of those things that, like, it's really hard to teach people how to be good humans. And at the root of it, if you want to be an effective coach, there has to be an element, I think, of service that is present, right? Like, you might know all of the science behind it. You might understand theoretically how to teach movement. But if you have your athlete come to you and they're just like trashed and having a bad day, understanding how to interpret the situation and what to do to help them auto-regulate, I think is a tricky skill to teach.
It's really hard to teach people how to care.
Yeah. Well, and I think like weightlifting historically has had such a culture of like, just shut up and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of those, I mean, all sports, let's be honest, of like, you just get through the training no matter what. And I think over the years, we've gotten so much better at understanding auto-regulation, and that you ultimately just have to meet the person where they're at that day. And then you get the best result out of them rather than trying to force a wooden square peg through a round hole.
Yeah, the longer I go, the more I start to program on kind of the day, versus like, here are your specific numbers. Because you get burned enough on like, well, the numbers don't work today, then they don't work next week, and then like percentages just give you a guideline, like a direction north, go that way.
Right.
But you might need to go truly at like 62% for that day, and then what is that? Just so I find myself programming a lot recently on just like, do what you can today. This is the drill or whatever we're working on. And it could be very, very heavy, or it might be on the lighter side, or it might be like, just do sets and reps and get some decent volume in. And it's all okay. Like, we're not on an Olympic, mesocycle or something like that.
Right. I use a lot of percentage ranges, and I'll say, especially with like my master's athletes, where there's so much more variability, right? Sometimes they are just on fire, and sometimes life is really lifing. Like, if they have a moderate day and they're feeling really great, I'm like, open it up, just go for it, because it's hard to identify exactly when they're going to have another really great day. So even if it's like meant to be kind of a moderately heavy day and they're on fire, I would go for it.
Oh yeah. Don't got to twist many arms to go off program. Like, hey, we're like, it just happened to us the other day. We were 4 kilos off from a clean and jerk PR, and it's like, you're looking really good. And it's like, well, the sets and everything are done, and we're out of time. I'm like, I got the keys to this building. What are you talking about? We're out of time. Like, let's we'll make some time. We lock up
when I say we lock up.
Yeah. We are not leaving here until you make that lift. So I hope you do it the first time. But it makes it fun too. Like, after a while, if you're just like, all right, it's 75%, it's 80%, like, that can get that's tedious in its own. And like, we'll do that from time to time, but it's hard in its own way, But if you have it a little more open-ended, or maybe you give a cap. I don't know. Do you ever give caps, Julia, where you're like, hey, we're working on this today. Don't go any further than 85% or 90%, and that way the people feeling it can go up there, but the people who aren't feeling it might, all right, that's just the cap. I'll do what I can.
Yeah, I'll either do a ceiling or a floor. Right? We'll be like, okay, just don't pass this percentage, or here's your floor. You can stay here for all your sets, or it can open up. So I'll do one or the other. Yeah,
it's great, and it gives athletes it's different now. Like, they have a little more responsibility, a little more autonomy in what they're going to do. They have to think. It's not just, all right, Julia wrote out all these numbers, I didn't have to do any of the math or anything. Like, they actually have to think, where am I going to go today? What can I bring out of myself today? And you can focus on different things at that point. You just focus on their movement, their mental state.
I would say this is where a lot of that emotional intelligence comes in, though, is being able to read the individual, because I'm sure I'm not the only coach that has this. I have some athletes who will not divert from what is on the paper. If it's in the spreadsheet, that's all they're going to do. And I really have to like push them if it's looking better. And then I have some that I cannot get to adhere to the guidelines of the program for anything. So, based on that, I'm going to write things differently. We're coming back to that idea of a floor or a ceiling, right? I might assign a floor or a ceiling based on the athlete type, right? If I know they're going to overreach all the time, I'm going to put a ceiling on them. If they're not likely to like push out of their comfort zone, I'm going to give them a floor. So.
Well, and that helps you to service more people instead of being like, nope, it's got to be this way. You're doing it wrong. But that athlete might come in and be like, man, I slept really good last night. I got a compliment from my boss at my job. I got a new puppy. I'm just feeling good. I'm high on life, and I'm able to put that into the bar. There's never going to be the perfect scenario of like, oh, today is the day, because you program one max out day ever, and you'll find out like, oh, half my team is like dead right now. Like they're just like they're the Walking Dead. They're a bunch of zombies right now, and there's maybe one person feeling good. So it's like, what do you do on that day?
Exactly. You have to be flexible.
Yes, I was gonna say communication is key. Like we were talking about like life in like that's my situation lately. Kurt knows with my programming, like especially since I've been doing this a little while, like I know where that is, and like even though there's a percentage written there, and I am not the most crazy person. I am not one of those people that really pushes it much beyond what is written on the page. I'm a TO. I'm a rule follower. Like, so it's like, that's my thing. But I will, I try to serve the purpose of the programming the best I possibly can, and just kind of get what I'm supposed to get out of it, and maybe don't worry so much about the number.
Yeah. I think understanding the intent of the workout is really important. And that's where that communication comes in. It's like, what's the intended takeaway from this particular training day? And as long as you get that, then we're good to go.
Totally.
Yeah. And that takes care of the people too. Like, I'm sure you've had plenty of people, Julia, who maybe they weren't able to complete all the programming or do it the specific way, and now they feel like they've let you down. So like but you've probably already told them ahead of time, like, hey, I'm happy that you're doing the work. I'm happy that you're in here. I'm happy that you showed up to training. So if you do 4 sets instead of 5, it's all right. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just comes with building a good relationship with your athletes. Like anything else, it just takes a little bit of time, some communication, a little bit of error. They have to feel safe in that you are not going to judge them in a way that obviously is unfair, while also pushing them in the direction that they said that they want to go in.
And that makes them that makes you a better unit in competition, because like that, more than likely, that's what we're building up to. If they can't talk to you in training, more than likely they may not talk to you in competition on like, hey, last night was really bad. I couldn't sleep. I was too nervous. Yeah. And where you might be like, well, let's adjust your numbers a little bit, but they don't say anything, and now they bomb out or something, or they're hurt and they're not. That's the worst case scenario, that they're afraid to tell you that they're hurt because you're going to be mad. We're all the way out here at the Arnold and whatnot. It's like, no, I'm happy you're safe, and that we still got the expo. It's fine.
Absolutely.
Back to coaching development here. How should new coaches seek to continue to develop after their first certification? And of course, level 2, but like what else?
Yeah. So I think one of the best things that we offer, that I urge all coaches and anybody in our ecosystem to take advantage of, is we do a monthly lunch chat. Sara joins us all the time. This, up until this year, was exclusively open to our level 2 coaches, and we've since opened it up to our level 1, because I think there's a lot of really valuable information that all coaches can get from a lot of these lunch chats, whether they end up pursuing a level 2 or not, right? Like, they may just want to continue to better themselves as professionals. And maybe the level 2 is not the right choice for whatever reason. Maybe it is just further down the line, because I will say, I think there's a real benefit in spending time with them prior to taking the level 2, right? So like, you take the level 1, you just need to like sit with them and see them and coach them a little bit before you really start to get the same kind of benefit out of the level 2. And in the interim, we can offer you these really great lunch chats if you're not familiar with them. It's a monthly call that we schedule, and we'll do like a specialized lesson on something, or sometimes we'll just review the outcomes of a particular competition, what the strategy was like. We've really been trying to make them very specific in what the outcome is for the viewer, for the coaches that are participating. And our kind of featured chats get added to a standalone module inside the Learning Academy, so you can always go back and watch the replays. One we did last month was on goal setting specific with Gen Z athletes and how to establish good communications with that age group. We've done ones in the past where we've brought in some of our high performance contractors, where we talked about managing performance anxiety on the platform. Right, so we really try to diversify the skill set of the coaches that are in our USA weightlifting ecosystem, so that they feel like they can also figure out what their knowledge gaps are, right? Because you start to understand, oh, actually, I feel really confident in this, but I'm really lacking some information, some knowledge on this. So I can go back, right? We've got like past replays about programming, about biomechanics. So you can always go back and watch some of these more involved conversations.
It's a huge resource.
Awesome. Yeah. James pops on them a lot too. I'm just the chatty one sometimes, but yeah, they're fantastic. And then wait, I just wanted to loop back to something that okay. As I'm talking this out now, all of a sudden I realize where my problem is. There used to be a time limit, like it used to be like you had to wait like a year after your level 1 to take your level 2, and that's not a thing anymore, right? Because now we have like those coaching weekends where you take both in one. Right. So there's no waiting period anymore, right?
That's correct. Okay. I'm not entirely sure when that was removed, because when I took both my level 1 and my level 2, there was a time limit or a time requirement between them. And I understand the value of it, right? Like it's hard to really analyze programs and lifts if you are a brand new level 1 coach and you've just started writing programming. So again, like our women's coaching weekends, which is the only opportunity that we have to kind of bundle a level 1, level 2, and take them back to back, really has a lot more to do with mentorship and the community building aspect. I recommend that for most coaches, if you are new to teaching weightlifting, hang out with the level 1 material for a little bit before you start to push yourself into the level 2, because you'll just get more out of it on the tail end.
Very cool. And with the online option, is that self-paced, or is it just, okay, we're still meeting a Saturday, Sunday, going through the same material?
That's right. It's synchronous and it's all done through Zoom. And the main difference, so a lot of the kind of classroom material is all the same. The main difference, because we don't have a hands-on component, you can't learn the lifts, is we do a lot more video reviews. So we spend a good bit more time looking at lifts, being able to break them down, teaching coaches how to utilize technology, what it is that they're looking for when they look at lifts. Like we'll start off with a lot of, freeze frame positional things. You should see this here. You should see this here. You should see this here. And then if we were to watch it again in real time, what's the rhythm of it? What's the cadence of it? That kind of stuff. So I actually think the online is a really great way to further develop your coach's eye. Obviously, if you are learning the lifts for the first time, an in-person hands-on course is preferred, but the online can be a great resource if you kind of know the lifts, but you need to understand what it is you're seeing.
I actually related to that too then. That's like a really interesting point, because I don't think James or you or I, neither of us have taken an online course, right? No. Like we always did them in person. Is there any way for maybe like coaches that already have their level 1 or level 2 to audit one of those online courses? Is that something maybe that can be discussed for the future?
Yeah. So we do offer audits. We don't publicize them a whole lot, and sometimes coaches will want to audit live courses as well, right? Just because maybe they haven't done it in a while, maybe they took their course like 10 years ago and they want to see what's been updated, or they just want to audit it with a different instructor. Mm-hmm. So yes, absolutely. If anyone's interested in an audit, send me an email.
Cool. That's awesome.
I didn't realize, that was the thing. That's pretty cool. I actually, when you guys came to Albany, I guess that's what I was doing. I was
auditing for sure.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know it.
Yeah, you were.
I thought I was just hanging out.
I mean, you were kind of like also like another instructor too. Like, I mean, you assisted with the warm up because I was not very good at that.
You killed it. You killed it. Hey, we were in a circle and we were all laughing, so it's fine.
Perfect.
What, Julia, for these, well, for coaching education and development overall, what do you wish more gym owners understood about this process and maybe getting their coaches to go and do some of these courses?
So this is a really interesting question because I think unlike the CrossFit Level 1 course, there's no require, right? If you want to be a CrossFit affiliate, you need to take a CrossFit Level 1. If you want to open a CrossFit gym, you need to have a
Who now?
Right. Oh, interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not opening a CrossFit gym, so but that doesn't exist inside USA Weightlifting, where like as a gym owner, there's no requirement for you to know this information. What I will say is, let's imagine you are a CrossFit gym owner. One of the things that is going to best help your business is if the coaches that you have that teach these movements feel really competent. Right, your retention is going to be higher. Your rate of injury for your clientele is going to be lower. I think the overall opportunity to get them involved in other things, right? They can do a mock weightlifting meet. You can get them ready for a local competition, right? It just provides other outlets and avenues for your members if you have a coach who's a really good weightlifting coach.
Yeah, it's a great add-on. You know, like you have your CrossFit program. I know a lot of gyms will have a High Rocks program, but before that, having a barbell club or a weightlifting club goes a long way. And it is to the point now, I think, a little bit, at least in this area, where if you're not USAW sanctioned club, you know, then that's a separator right there, because everybody on their pages has it listed, but like having that nod from USA Weightlifting is totally worth it.
That's a really great point. And I think in large part because I don't see a whole lot of clubs that offer a barbell club that is not USA Weightlifting sanctioned. But if they exist, certainly if I were a consumer that knew nothing about weightlifting but was like, I'd like to get involved, that would be the first thing I would look for. It's like, is this legit? Is this a reputable program, coach, whatever? Is first, is there a stamp of approval? Second, and I think this is good kind of investigative work for anybody that's looking for a club, is figure out what the program is, what type of people do they work with, do those people, have they achieved the same types of things that you are looking to achieve? But I would definitely say that sanction, that like this is a USAW club, is probably the first thing you're going to look for.
Definitely.
Everybody should be a club. Everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You could also, like, if anyone is listening to this that's just kind of weightlifting curious, there's a whole search engine feature that you can look for a club. You can look for a coach. You can look for a coach based on experience level, right? Like, are they a level 2 coach? Are they a national coach? Are they a level 1 coach? That kind of thing. So that you can really do your own informed research on a club if you're interested in joining it.
Right on USAW's website. Just click the club and coach finder right there.
Yep.
And soon, the New York WSO website. But spoiler. Coming.
Let's go, James.
With the actually, so I'm sure you've heard like millions of different types of questions at these courses from attendees. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about teaching snatch and clean and jerk? On that people come in and they're like, oh, I thought it was this way, or they just had their own ideas.
So when it comes to technical application of the lifts, I think one of the biggest things that people don't understand is the power position, right? They just like really misinterpret where they are relative to the bar, where their joints are set. I think that's the biggest one, that if there's any kind of debunking that we need to do, it's understanding where the power position is and how the body's engaging the bar in that moment. That's like a technical thing. When it comes to kind of philosophical application of the lifts, we still get some friction when it comes to people understanding whether the lifts are appropriate to be taught to kids, how to introduce them to kids, like that kind of thing.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I think in general, people aren't sure when to start, and they probably overshoot it to older. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like it by wanting to be overly cautious, they're like, we won't start teaching them until they're 15. Well, at that point, they've probably already started puberty, right? So like we need to get them at least moving and understanding how to control their bodies, especially when kids are first starting to go through puberty. Oh my God, their arms and their legs just like sprout out to 5 meters long overnight, and they don't know what to do with their limbs anymore. It's really important to just like teach them how to organize themselves gradually as their bodies are changing. It doesn't mean that we're like overloading them early on. But I think like that's a philosophical one that we deal with a lot in the power position.
And like the thing with the kids too is like one like as soon as that baby can stand up and pick up a PVC pipe, all right, let's go. Let's get started, Sarah. We'll start like their training starts today.
Well, at that age, they're usually just making shapes and like figuring out how not to fall over.
And watching you, they're like they see their mom or dad snatching, and then they pick up like a shoe or something, and they're like, look, I did it too. And it's like, yeah, they're learning. Like as soon as they're born, they're taking in information and they're learning nonstop. It's an amazing thing. Like us right now, we've experienced so much of the world and life that like, oh, that's something new. But imagine if everything was brand new. Like, oh, I've never seen a green wall before. And like, you're just staring at the wall, like just everything being new. And you're going to notice things and take things in. It's really remarkable.
Last month, oh my gosh, I don't even know where we are, but in February, I was in Omaha and I spoke at a We Coach, which is one of our educational partners. They help to develop women coaches across all sports. They had a regional workshop that I spoke at, and one of the conversations that we had in my presentation was around starting to introduce movements in the weight room before they get to like college, because I think a lot of strength conditioning coaches are like, oh, they'll learn it in college, but at that point they've already missed so many valuable learning years that the idea is like, okay, maybe you're not teaching them a full snatch and clean and jerk. They should at least learn how to squat and put something overhead and how to hinge correctly. We could do it in middle school. We can do it in high school. So that's a lot of the conversation that I'm talking about. Is a lot of strength coaches feel like it's best to save that learning until later on when they're in college. And the idea is that we're missing the boat at that point.
Yeah, that's tough. Because I would look at it as like you'd be such a disadvantage for all the kids that do, and also the kids that have like they're getting closer to an elite level of strength and ability coming out of high school into college, and then you're just starting to lift. You're probably getting cut. Like it's not going to work out.
Yeah, it's such an American thing, though, I feel, because like you look at like I mean, I remember when I went to Mexico to work at an IWF event, and all of the TOs there were like 10 years younger than me. And that like Cat 2, I think, was the minimum. Yes, because it was a Pan Am event. Cat 2. So it was like, I was like, how are you guys all like 22 and you already have these credentials? Like, this is wild. And it's because they have all been weightlifting since they were like 10, 11. And they get burned out, and so they start taking this other path. And then I mean, you see like kids in China who have been starting from a very young age and stuff like that. So it's very funny how like we're like very precious about it, like, oh, science shows we have to wait or something like that. And it's like I'm sorry, these other countries
Precious
have been doing this for for generations, So it's pretty funny.
I have a junior athlete who's just like a little rock star, and it's going to be 20 this year, and was so strong. I just can't wrap my brain around how much strength she's put on in the last like 3 years. But she started learning the lifts when she was 13, right? So for how young she still is, she had practiced the movements for years and like was lifting, like fine weight, but like now she's lifting stupid weight.
Yes.
And that kind of strength, she's like really able to capitalize on all of the work that she did and just like moving better and taking advantage of where she is as a young person developing and having all these excellent hormones, like she can reap the benefits of that now as a young adult because she planted those seeds as a teenager.
And her athlete IQ is probably through the roof on like, all right, you're managing the warm-up room, the nerves. You know these feelings. All right, I missed my opening attempt, but nope, I know what I need to do to come back and get the next lift. Or, maybe, like just building up that intelligence as an athlete is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It just also means that, that auto-regulation component that we talked about, she's so much more informed about her own body. She's not like kind of second guessing stuff. She knows when she feels really good. She doesn't feel good. This whole like guesstimating whether we should push or not doesn't really happen because she's so in tune with how her body's moving.
Awesome. Julia, one more question for you, unless we have any bonus. Well, actually, I do have some bonus things real quick. But how do you help coaches at the level 1 or level 2 learn to individualize technique instead of forcing a model? Because you're going to have so many different types of, this person has short torso, long legs, long limbs. This person is 6'6". Like there's so many different body types and abilities and limitations. So how does the level 1, level 2 address that?
So I'm gonna, in a couple different ways. First, I would say is identifying the goal. You have to know what your end goal is before you could do any of that other stuff. Because if you have a master's athlete who's in their 50s and like maybe wants to do a power snatch and that's all it's ever going to be, that's a very different goal than if you have a 15-year-old football player. So first, we identify like, who is the person? We do a needs assessment, right? Like we have to analyze the athlete. What's the goal that they're going to work for? Are they doing this purely recreationally as like a way to stay in shape, or is this something that's really? Because once I know that, I can make any other decisions further downstream. Then I would say is having a little bit more clarity and helping coaches develop that coach's eye that we talked about, which is like help them understand what it is they actually see. We start with good biomechanical foundation. If bar is here, this will happen, right? Everything is kind of like a cause and effect that we're trying to teach, so that when they see certain problems, they understand what the outcome will be, and then they can start to understand how to make adjustments for different body types. So there's going to be some, like you mentioned earlier, James, there's going to be some things that we cannot change. That is that person's body. That is how they move. For whatever reason, be it injury, age, if we can't change it, then we're going to make the best choice possible. If we can, and it's just a technical thing, then it's a teaching. So that's what I would say. So we're always going to start with the end goal, the population, understand fundamentals, and then you make decisions around that.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, because I think, a lot of people that get a new athlete, like, I got to teach you how to do this, but you have to back up a few steps, and that's okay. You do have to teach them how to do this. But if you back up and gather some information, do their needs assessment, figure out their goals and what the overall goal of this is, now that kind of guides you into how to teach them. Like, okay, I need to focus on these things than the things I just have in general in my head.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that comes back to like, be a person in the room with other people, as opposed to just being in your head and looking at the textbook and be like, well, this should happen. Who's the person in front of you? Just be a person.
Yeah. Awesome.
Wait, I wanted to loop back, and I think this is why I got disconnected and kicked from the room. Let me see. I wanted Julia to show us, but let me see if I can do this. Bear with me. Share screen. I have never done this before. Okay, let's try. Oh my God, it's not gonna let me.
Wait a minute. Maybe I can give you access to share. We've not tried this. How do I?
Hold on. I think I just have to enter my password, and then it will.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. Let's see. I have to like grant permission. Oh, never mind. I was just going to say anyway, but the point is, looping back to Julia, you were saying specifically about the that one module that is in the Learning Academy that you wanted to highlight.
Oh, do you want me to bring that up?
Yes, if you can. That's what I like logged in, and then I was gonna show that off like while we were sitting here talking. But
Let me log in.
It is in the Learning Academy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
View profile.
So,
Learning access USAW Learning Academy.
that's right.
Okay.
We're logged
Now
into our admin, but if you look at, so you should have all these different tiles in there. Those are all complimentary short form courses. They're like 15 to 20 minutes long on very specialized subject matters. And then there's also a separate tile for just lunch chat. So you should see all of this.
Yes, like I see effectively like coaching fundamentals, effectively coaching Gen Z, and creating a culture of belonging, things like that.
Yes, exactly.
I froze. What?
Oh no.
It may be the podcasting
okay.
versus
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But I mean, that was what it is. It's basically you log into your Sport 80 profile, right?
Yep.
You have to click view profile, and then there should be like a menu that you can select from, and you select Access USAW Learning Academy. I believe it takes you to a different website completely. You're then out of Sport 80, so you need to be able to open another tab or a window, and then it does. It just has like all the tiles for on your dashboard of all of these courses that you can take, and that has a lot of these things that Julia was mentioning, including like the coach's lunch chats, so that if you are a coach, you can go back and watch those. Oh, James got booted.
He was looking at it. And
I know.
Like, I can't be a podcast host. And
yeah, it tried to make me like reboot all of Chrome, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to mess with that. So.
Yeah, I think there's a fair amount of free resources that we make available.
Definitely.
People just don't know that they're there. And they're really excellent. We actually have, coming back, I have a chat with a couple of the ladies from Coaching Her, which is an organization that, again, looks at how do we enhance the female experience in sport. They create a lot of these kind of short form courses, and we have the opportunity through some of our educational relationships to add new things to that. So it's just one of those that, like, it's free. It's a great resource. There's tons of things that you can learn more about, and we have the opportunity to add new things all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I will just say that like a lot of this stuff like did not exist like maybe even like a little over like a year ago, and it's like you and Anna together have just like really made this like blossom, but whether it's the coaching chats or just like having information like this available, it's been great. So thank you both for all of the stuff you've done.
I mean, Anna's I want to swear, she's a monster. She's so smart. And she's a real rock star, has done a lot of this work already. And I'm just like trying to enhance and get the word out.
Yeah.
Julia, the Learning Academy website, like it doesn't look like bars. I'm not sure if it is. Is that something people can access outside of bars?
Yeah, they're probably gonna. Yeah, so it is a separate website. It's our learning management system. The direct link goes from bars, but it takes you to an outside page regardless. So I imagine like if you just the first time you get there, just save the URL and then you can access that page.
I think you have to be logged in. So I do think you have to, because like I'm looking at the interface and like I can see when it kicked me to it's like usaw.unhosting.site, and I am logged in. Like I see profile, SS, and things like that. So I don't think it is something that you can access unless you are a USAW member.
Got it.
You do have to have a membership, correct? Because even if you were to access the page separately, it'll still prompt you for your USAW credentials. So you have to log in with that, but you probably access it through the page separately once you've saved the URL and you have your login information.
Okay. Yeah. So easier access for the future if you have a membership,
Yes, it is, a perk of having a USA Weightlifting membership, that even if you are not a coaching member, you can still learn through a lot of these free resources.
Julia, back in the day, USAW used to regularly host coaching symposiums. It would be a big event where coaches from all over the country and the world would come in. You meet at a hotel. There's a lot of keynote speakers and special people giving presentations. Will those ever come back?
I would love to see them come back. I think right now event production and travel is the biggest rate limiter when it comes to those. You know, I think as we see more coaches, not for nothing, but like being comfortable spending money on coaching education, I think we'd see things like that come back, because ultimately that's the biggest variable. Is we're asking so much of coaches. Come to this meet, you got to coach your athletes. I think as it becomes easier and more affordable to travel, I think people will be more interested in things like that.
Yeah, I've spoken to a couple people, and I'd be interested in going, and they'd be interested in going. So you got two, you already got three. You know, maybe Sarah will go, especially if it's if there's like not a meet or something tied to it. Then it's like, okay, I'm going. This is like for me and to go learn. Yeah.
So the original conversation that was had is, could this be a tack on to a current competition, right? Because rather than organizing a totally separate event where we're asking coaches to add one more travel destination to their calendars, can we just get them there a day early or stay a day late and add it on to the full event calendar? And then we can think about, like, are there specialty talks that are available? So I think that is the more likely option, rather than like making it a full standalone thing, is just coupling it with our national events.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that, because it used to be I went to one of those, and it used to be a standalone thing, and it was really fun. Yeah, I remember you were like poster child for it. I remember you were like pictures of it and everything. But yeah, I mean, it was super fun. It's very interesting, and I know some coaches who have like tried to do that like on their own and like make their own things. So I mean, like, that's cool. But yeah, I do miss the USAW official one.
Yeah. I love.
And then you have like a line of massage chairs where coaches can just get their all the stress up here, just like, oh no, you're gonna be all right. They do listen, they do hear you, they do hear when you're talking, you know, just
I know.
Coaches therapy.
It's just about like refilling your cup as a coach.
Yeah.
Because I think coaches just give a lot. They give a lot of their time. They give a lot of their resources. They just give a lot of themselves in general. Then there's not a ton of opportunities to feel like you're pouring back into yourself, which honestly, like the last level one that I taught in person, I taught one here in Queens about a month ago. And that was one of the comments from one of the participants, who was like I want to say like the program director at Chelsea Piers. And he's like, I love opportunities to just be with other coaches, because we're working long hours, we're doing all these things, we're up early, we're getting home late, and there's so few opportunities to just kind of accommodate the coaches.
Yeah, and you have to understand that it's okay to like live regular life around coaching, you know, and even when there are going to be like situations where like you would normally be coaching, but like you're going to go do this other thing because you only live one life, right? Like I'm trying to come to terms with that myself. Like we meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 6:15 to 8. And if let's say there's a concert that comes up on a Wednesday evening, I can't go. We have training. Like, and I've done that for like well over a decade. And now it's like, hey, Miguel, you coach class tonight. I'm gonna go. Right. I'm gonna go with my friends and go do this thing. It's like, it's one time, it's training. It's not like there's a meet, but like it has taken a really long time to like be okay with doing that, you know.
I think that's the case for a lot of coaches, especially early in your career. You're like trying to prove yourself, and you want to be there all the time. Okay, but I'm not showing up as my best self if I'm not there, which is not the case, right? Like the more you can take care of yourself, the better condition you're in mentally to show up for your athletes. At the end of the day, like you have to be in a good mood to coach. You're not helping anybody if you're cranky.
Yep.
Gosh, one of my best competition coaching series, I was so mad during the session. So how'd you bring that up? It was at States, and I was mad about something, and I was coaching Schaff, as you guys both know Schaff, and I was just like so like locked in and direct. I'm like, take that lift, you know. I was like, but it was like not my normal thing, but it worked. He PR'd, I believe, that meet, and it was great. I was like, I gotta channel the rage more.
It has to be intentional, right? Like that kind of like if your athlete responds to aggressive coaching, then you have to be intentional about showing up that way for them.
Yeah.
Not like, oops, I had a bad day, so I'm taking it out. There's a difference.
Yeah, exactly. And you wear many masks as a coach. Like you have one athlete where like they just want you to hang out and like fist bump and be their buddy. Another one wants you to be like that drill instructor and so and everything in between.
Yeah.
I definitely have some of my guys that I'm like, hey, calm down, sit down. I'm gonna call you up when it's time. Sit down.
Yeah.
Which is not. I wouldn't speak that way to like another athlete to respond to it. But again, like that's a choice that's made consciously rather than.
You ever accidentally use your direct coaching persona or like mode in public? Like you're at the grocery store and you're like, where's the bread? You know, like just that kind of cadence and stuff because you're coming from the gym and you haven't turned it off yet.
I would say I have a couple of athletes that I've known for years that are like very similar in age and we are friends. And there are definitely times when we've hung out and they're like, Coach Julia's here. I was like, okay. You know, like that kind of instance where I'm like, What are you doing? Why did you do that? Julia.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, and it's like, where does Coach Julia end and Julia begin? And it's like, they are one, you know? Yeah.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, Sara, any closing questions or thoughts for Julia here? We've covered a lot.
No, I think we covered everything. I mean, I interjected quite a few extra questions onto our list, so I'm
awesome.
Very good. Yeah. Thanks for being here, Julia.
I have one last question, and we almost forgot it. It is a tradition. We typically ask our guests at the beginning of the show, what would your WWE theme song be, or your wrestling theme song be? You're at Masters Nationals, you're at whatever meet, and they're like, all right, up next, first attempt, Julia Falamas, and this song starts playing. What's your entrance song?
Got you. It is All of the Lights by Rihanna and Kanye.
Ooh, great song.
Yeah.
It fits the theme.
Yeah. And it has a nice build up and everything. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we had to get that. I was like, I wrote it down here in a big circle. I'm like, don't forget.
That's really funny because I thought that like when I thought that you were trying to encompass that by now, just asking about your training soundtrack, James. So I thought that you wanted to skip that. So I apologize.
No, I totally forgot that. Totally forgot it. And I didn't realize it until some point when we're in the rapid fire. And I'm like, we'll come back to it.
Yes. And we did.
Perfect. It's a good one to close with.
Yes.
Julia, so where, what should people go? What things should they follow? What websites should they bookmark? What courses should they sign up right now?
Yeah, great question. So if you're in New York, we actually have a course running in Brooklyn that Kurt Roderick is teaching April 4th and 5th. So that's the next one coming up. In the city, we have one, if I'm not mistaken, coming up in Buffalo, not far after that. So we actually have a couple courses coming up in New York State this spring. We fill our course calendar on a rolling basis, so it's always good practice to like, if there's not one near you now, check back in 2 to 3 weeks, and there might be, because they roll and they fill in regularly. Always follow us on Instagram at USA Weightlifting. All of our like big event coverage happens there. If you'd like to learn more about me, it's J Falamas on Instagram. That works. What else can I tell you?
How about like sometimes people might be frustrated. There's no courses coming up. You might have to be the one that takes the dive for everybody and host the course. So like if there's a person in a remote part of the state or the country and they're like, there's never any courses here, but they have a gym, how could they host a course?
Yeah, so we actually have a form you can fill out that says request a course. If you go to our level 1 landing page, there is a tab at the top that says host a course, and you'll learn more about what it entails, what it looks like if you want to host a course. Basically, that request form just comes to me, and then we talk about it. We talk about seasonality, what might work best in certain areas, and then we can get it on the books.
Very cool. Host a course. Take a course.
Of course. Yes.
Get better. Be better. Awesome. Well, Julia, thank you so much for coming on, and Sarah, as always, thank you for co-hosting. I think we learned a lot, and we'll have to have Julia back on in the future to talk more about coaching and weightlifting.
For sure. Thank you, James.
Let me end the stream here.